Okay, uh, we meet again. I think before I start this session, my tips is you should read my lecture note first, because for the next slide and in the future, I will do some micro videos just for discussion, and I extract only important matters that related with certain topics. So for first discussion about the mixing process, we want to discuss about number one, important of mixing in ceramic processes. Number two, the mechanism involved in mixing process. And number three, you should identify a different type of mixer for ceramic processing and explain their mixing principles. In order to discuss about the three important points, in the next slide, I will use the mind mapping prepared by your seniors last years. For me, I try to wrap up everything in one slide instead of I separated into different slides. If one slide, you can see the relationship as overall. So in the next slide, you can see number one, we go back to the previous slide. We want to discuss about the importance of mixing in ceramic processes. Okay, you can see the left side of the mind mapping prepared by your seniors. Importance of mixing in ceramic processes, as highlighted in their group, they divided in 4 sections. What is the importance of mixing in ceramic processes? Number one is for imperative for minimizing investment and operating costs when provide high yields. Okay, this point normally related to the cost, because if we can design the mixing process systematically, of course you can get very high yield production products, and also you can minimize the error during the production process. Number two, when you talk about the cost, definitely is related with the profits. So number two is that the importance of mixing in ceramic processes, we try to gain as much higher profit as we can when we optimizing the mixing process. As a process point of view, we can increase the homogeneity of raw materials chemically and physically conditioned. What is the meaning of the homogeneity of raw materials chemically and physically conditioned? Maybe you can refer to my notes, or you can search in the Googles about the importance to obtain the homogeneity of the mixture during the mixing processes. If you can obtain a very good mixing processes, definitely you will get the quality of final products. Okay, B, the mechanism involved in mixing process. The mechanism, this group draw the mechanism as a illustrations. In this mechanism, when you explain the mechanism of mixing process, you must explain it in the descending order. I mean in sequence. Okay, imagine X and Y is the different type of raw material used during your mixing process. For example, X is aluminum oxide and Y is the silica oxide. And then when you blend it together or you mix it together, the first stage of the mixing mechanism, those raw material will mix together and they will go through the convection process. What is the meaning of convection process? The transfer the component from a region to another. In simple word, when you in this convection stage, these two raw material powder surfaces will contact each other, and as shown in this diagram. After these two raw material contact each other, they will shear. How this shear will produce? This shear will produce when you mix the powder using different type of mixer. Later on, I will explain example of the mixer machine. So during the mixer, let's say imagine you blend the powder using the blade, and then when you mix it, so the powder will shear each other, and then the blade will mix the powder. And of course, when you after you do this kind of mixing process, this raw material X and Y will diffuse each other. By the way, in shear process, they will increase the component interface via its shape. Okay, after this shear process occurred, the next stage is the diffusion. Diffusion meaning that they will exchange between the molecule or particle in materials neighborhood. I give you a simple analogy. I think some of you like to drink Neslo, okay? Meaning you add Milo powder and Horlick powder, and then you blend together before you put the water. Okay, when you blend the Horlick powder and Milo powder, you need to blend. Okay, so means that when you blend it, of course the Milo powder is in the chocolate color form, and also the Horlick powder in white color form. You can see the white color form will distribute in between the Milo powder. This is the meaning of this fusion in simple analogy. And number 3 is that identify different type of mixer for ceramic processing and explain their mixing principle. In these notes, this group just presenting 3 type of mixing machine. You can go through to my notes. I will give you more than 3 examples, the type of different mixer. Or you can see in the Google the current trend, or what is the type of mixer currently used now in ceramic industries. This you need to have your self-initiative to find out what are the type of mixer that we use in ceramic processing. Okay, for this group, they divided the mixer into 3 type of information. Number 1 is that the type of the mixers, the examples, and also the principle that we use in that particular examples. Okay, for the type, they give you 3 examples: convective, fluidization blender, and also the tumbler blender. Okay, the type of the machine example for convective. What is the meaning of convective? You can see in the illustration before, in order to explain the mechanism, the convection is involved. The example for convective blender is the ribbon blender mixer, pedal blender mixer, and also the vertical screw blender. You need to go through and find out how the image looks like for those kind of blenders. And the principle for these blenders, the gross movement of particle through the mixers, either by force action from pedal meaning something like the blade for the mixer, by gentle tumbling under the rotational effects. In this kind of convection process, the rotating process is very important. Okay, the rotating process is generated by the blade in the mixer. Okay, number 2 is that the fluid blenders, or we call it as a fluidization blenders. For this kind of blender, normally we have a flow mixer and also the pedal mixer. I think this one you can Google it, or you can search in YouTube how the flow mixer looks like, how the pedal mixer looks like. In this type of example for flow and the pedal mixer, the mechanism, the principle involved is that again the rotation. The rotation of particle make the particle down at the surface. But in this particular type of mixer, they are normally added the fluid, maybe oil, maybe water, maybe solvent, maybe polymer binder, and others. Okay, and then the third one is a tumbler blender. Okay, for example, the bin blender, the V blender, the octagonal blender. Okay, the principle, each ingredient is loaded separately into the blender, and the blender rotate until homogeneous mixture has been formed. In order to get the clear picture about those type of the mixers and also the types, you can go through the Googles. Okay, of course in this video I couldn't show the example, but you as a student, you need to take some effort to go through the Googles, and also go through using YouTube. For me, YouTube is a very good platform in order to understand the processes, because you can visualize it, you can hear it, and you can repeat again the videos in order to make yourself comfortable and understand what the video try to say to you. Okay, that's the end of the first section of the mixing process. So please wait for my next video about other topics that I need to touch in the mixing processes. Okay, please stay with me. Thank you.